Hey guys, welcome back to JR14, and here we are with another video, and welcome to my new daily driver. Hey guys, welcome back to JR14. Here I am with another video. Like I said, here is my new daily driver. What is it? Is a 2009 Mercedes-Benz ML350. I do not have the Accord anymore, unfortunately. I sold my Accord for this. And before you guys bash me in the comments, why would you get rid of the Accord? It was a rare spec. It was perfectly fine. It's a completely reliable car. You bought a German, European, early 2000s SUV. What is wrong with you? You must be mad. Now, I get that. There's a lot of reasons why I did buy an SUV, and I'm gonna disclose those in the video right now. Let's talk about what happened, right? Now, I've been looking at SUVs for a long period of time now. I've been looking at Touaregs, I've been looking at a lot of other different vehicles on the market when it comes to a mid-size SUV or just like a regular size SUV like this one. I didn't want anything full size. For instance, I don't want the GL or like a Suburban of this car. I just wanted something that was a little smaller, but still bigger. All-wheel drive was a major thing for it, and just something that can handle just a lot of the day-to-day a little bit better than my Accord. Not to bash the Accord for any reason. The Accord was perfectly fine when it came down to the daily driver. Again, I have a manual Mark 7 GTI. That is my track car, that is my weekend car, that is my fun car, my toy. And I didn't want to have a manual as my daily driver. I got, you know, it makes sense at first and it sounds fun at first, but then it gets old and tired after a while. And sometimes I just want to throw a car and drive and just go and relax. Another thing is that, you know, I felt like I've had the Accord for about 3 to 4 years now, and I wanted something that was a little bit more luxurious, leather interior, things of that nature, and I didn't want to spend a lot of money. I didn't want to take out a loan for the car. I didn't want to spend crazy money for the car, so I wanted to go ahead and pay a car cash and put a little bit of money on top of that for what I, you know, sold the Accord for. Now, I did have to sell the Accord. I did have to do certain things with that in order to get this vehicle, and I was perfectly fine with that. So I'll tell you a little bit of the scenario of how I got this vehicle, and then I'll explain why this particular model in general. Like I said, I was looking for an SUV for a while, and then I ended up finding, you know, a lot of, like, I was looking at Porsche Cayennes, first gens, maybe even second, really mainly the first, just because of the price point. I was just too afraid of them. I was also looking, you know, shout out to my boy Greg Pouncey. He was actually recommending that I go with an X5, considering that I did want a BMW, maybe not a first, definitely not the first generation X5, but the second. And the only reason why I didn't go that route is just because, you know, at that time, BMW just recently got on the bandwagon of being very reliable platforms with the newer cars, and those are way out of my price point. Again, I did not want a car with a payment. I wanted something that has been known for, as far as the mechanicals, being pretty reliable if maintenance has been done, and something that was, I also wanted something that wasn't perfect. Why? Because this is a content car for me. It is my daily driver, but it is also a content car for me. What do you mean? There are things wrong with this car, not catastrophically. I can drive the car today, I can drive it long distance, and this is not like, I've had the car for about a month as you're seeing this video, so I've already driven an extended period of time and it's already been great to me. So I'm not really concerned about, you know, as far as the car breaking down significantly, but it does have an oil leak. It does have a couple of other, well, not one oil leak, it has a few oil leaks, and we're gonna be doing that, you know, I'm gonna be showing you those steps along the way. I looked at, you know, Tahoes and stuff like that. Now that would have probably been the great option, a PPV Tahoe. I'm just scared of the miles, and my other college friend Daniel has always told me, you don't worry so much about the higher mileage vehicles, just because of the fact that those high maintenance points in terms of what needs to be done, like for instance, you know, timing belts or things of that nature, or timing chain services, those have to be done to have a car a little over 150,000 miles. So I was looking at PPVs because those are usually serviced by either government or the state. And that's usually an unlimited budget when it comes down to whatever the car needs, usually the car gets, if it comes down to PPVs, which is police pursuit vehicles, or SS, I think it's the SSVs, which are the supervisor vehicles as well. I couldn't find one clean enough with, you know, and the ones that I did find that were clean, they wanted way too much money for the year and for the miles. So I actually wanted to go back, and I thought about my previous history of SUVs. Now, my mother had an ML 350 2006 back in the day. And I loved that truck. I always told her that was the best Mercedes that you ever owned. She is a loyal Mercedes-Benz customer. So is my dad. So like I said, I pretty much wanted a vehicle like, you know, and I started to think like, maybe I should look at Mercedes-Benz. Maybe I should look at the MLs. They didn't have a lot of issues with them, depending on the trim level and the model that you get, but something that I was familiar with. Now, one thing that I am very familiar with Mercedes-Benz is the M272 engine, which is the 3.5 liter V6. My mother had a W204 C300. She actually had two of them, a 2009 and a 2012, both C300s with the 3 liter V6, which is just a smaller, just slightly smaller displacement than this car. My mom did have an ML 350 as well, and that car was nostalgic for me for a few reasons. One, the car was nostalgic to me because one, I learned how to drive in this car. I got my license in this car. I passed my road test in this car, and I always really loved the way that they were. Perfect height. It actually is pretty quick for it being a naturally aspirated 3.5 liter V6, 270 horse, I believe 258 pound-feet of torque. But one of the things that I really did always appreciate about the ML was the fact that it was slightly rugged, but also very, very smooth. You know, Mercedes-Benz is really well known for the quality and ride comfort. And even for a 13-year-old car like my 2009 here, it is extremely smooth. The transmission shifts so smooth, and it's amazing, the build quality back in the day. You know, those are some of the reasons why I did buy the ML. Now, I could have gone a C-Class, you know, I was very familiar with them, right? I actually almost, before I even started looking at SUVs, I was looking at W204 350s. The issue was, for me, they were really small. I was shocked at how small a C-Class is, and an E-Class is cool, but there's so many of them around. This generation ML, you see them, but you don't see them that often. And that's what I kind of like about this vehicle. And specifically, like, I wanted this specific model. I wanted a 09, which was the facelift version. I wanted one with running boards. So this is a sport trim with the sport wheels and the running boards as well. That is something I definitely wanted. And ironically enough, I was trying to find a black one, but all of them were pretty bad. And actually, speaking of that, I actually came down to finding a hunter green one. Now, Greg went with me to look at this car, and I'll put a video of it here in the video right here. And again, I'm sorry for the quality of the video. I was just quickly going around. Well, the guy sent me a video of the walk around the car. Now, that car looks clean in that video. When I looked at this truck in person, it was clapped out. I'm talking about the paint wasn't as clean. The car's been in a few accidents. Someone just didn't take care of it. And the reason why I'm not a fan of green, but this particular green with the tan interior was a very, very rare color combo, and it did have a towing package. Now, this generation is called the W164. This chassis is called the W164, and it can't tow a lot unless if you get a 63, a ML63. Or an ML500. Now, those are the M113s. For something, again, I want to baby step myself into DIYing on a German car. So I figured an ML350 was easier for me and also be a little bit better for the fuel economy as well. So this is rated 14 in the city, 19 on the highway, but I've actually gotten 21 with my driving. It does actually get 500 miles to the tank. It is a 24-gallon tank, and it takes premium. So in 2024 with gas prices, you already know that is hurting my pockets, but I'm not complaining. I actually will pay that sacrifice to have something that is amazing and smooth to drive. In my opinion, and it's not to hate on any of the other cars, this is not like a Honda Pilot or anything like that. This is actually something where it's very utilitarian, but also very comfortable as well. And there's a status behind it too. You're driving a Mercedes-Benz. Like, I always wanted to own one. I've never owned one. This is my first Mercedes-Benz of ownership. It will definitely not be my last. What is the purpose for this car? Like, that's the next thing I want to talk about. What is the purpose of me buying this? Like I said, it is my new daily driver. I wanted something that was taller, higher up, soft and comfortable on the ride, automatic. Something that would give me all the luxury features in the world, or majority of luxury features in the world, and something that was just not as expensive to maintain. And I'll get to that in a later video. You'll be surprised. Parts for this aren't that expensive as you think they are. And obviously I'm very happy to say that I'm going to be working with FCP Euro on this car, because again, I purposely did not want to buy a clean, perfect example of one. And some of you guys are looking at me like, wait a minute, you sold your Accord that was perfectly found for a Mercedes that needs work? In my opinion, yes. Like, the Accord to me was great, but I got bored. I wanted to be able to find something new to work on, something new that I can experience, not something that was completely mechanically problematic, but small issues that I can tear apart myself and then I can change. Like, for instance, it does need rotors and brakes. It does have an oil leak, which I'm actually going to be working on with a shop on in a later video coming up. It actually just started doing this. The rear tailgate started malfunctioning. So you guys already know that's going to be a problem, but I think I have a fix for that. And then it just needs some basic maintenance, spark plugs, this, that, and the third. It had a good clean Carfax, no accidents. It does have some bruises here and there on the front and rear bumpers, and I'm going to address those in later videos coming up. But I want to take you around the car, and I want to take you on the interior of the car, especially because this thing is clean for the amount of miles that it has on it. Okay, walking up to the car now, and look at this interior. This is why I actually really stepped upon this and just bought it. Now, the reason why I bought this car, as far as one of the things is the interior. Majority of the time, these seats, especially the driver's side, usually is worn out and it usually is torn. And this seat isn't. Like I said, everything's clean. Like, you got some regular wear if you look on the steering wheel here. And this interior is not perfect. Like I said, I want to learn how to take everything apart. Like, for instance, up here, the sunroof button is broken. Sunroof works, but the sunroof button is broken, but I have a fix for that. And these are all videos. It has the Harman Kardon. That's another thing. That's another plus about this car. And that was another, the one plus for me with this car was this. This is a car with navigation. Now, it is the old command system, dated command system, and you guys already know what, if you guys have been OGs on the channel, you already know what's coming up on the channel very, very soon when it comes down to radio installs. But I do have a daily driver that has navigation. I believe this is a 12-speaker sound system. It has the Harman Kardon sound system, as you guys can see there. I have tweeters, I have a center speaker here, surround sound speakers in the back on the roof up there, if you guys can see that. So the sound system sounds great. There's a couple of speakers that are blown in the front, but only when you max it out or turn it all the way up. But you can get some decent sound before you start getting popping noises. But again, we're going to be fixing that as well. It is my first car to have dual zone climate. Well, it is my first daily driver, as far as like a hoopty that has dual zone climate control. My Volkswagen GTI doesn't even have dual zone climate control, and I have heated seats, and they work. All the stuff in this car works. The sunroof works, the door regulators work, the window regulators work, the latches work, everything works. And I'm excited. And like I said, it's a good classic interior. Now, you do have some things here, like the wood, as you guys can see here. This is, as you can see, I don't know if the camera will pick this up, but it is cracking. This is a common Mercedes-Benz thing. And also, if you leave the car out in the sun, the wood would start to fade to a lighter color. So I don't know if you guys can tell, but the rear doors and the front doors are a completely different shade of wood. And it's not because the windows are tinted. It's literally because the front ones got more sun just by sitting in the sun, and they crack and they fade over time. But I'm going to be doing stuff with the wood as well in this car, you know, down in the cup holder area here on the center stack and the doors. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, like I said, the vehicle, it's a good car. I think that I will have a lot of fun with it, me personally. You know, like I said, it's not perfect. I'm gonna go to a body shop and get this bumper resprayed. But now I actually will need your help on this. So there's another issue with the door. The clear coat is fading or failed on the bottom here. Now, I can do a couple of things with this. I actually would either do respraying the door, but that means spraying the whole side of the car. That's expensive. I may find another door. So if you guys know anyone that is selling a door or a parts car that has the C775 paint code, I want to buy your rear door from you. Let's work out a price. I'll go to pick it up. We'll figure it out. And you know, the front bumper is a little wrecked. You know, there's some love taps, and you know, it looks like the bumper was sprayed previously, but I don't care about that type of stuff. Like, again, to spray a bumper is not hard at all. And again, you know, it's not that bad. I'm not worried about that. These are cosmetic problems. But now, you know, as far as the engine's concerned, the engine is sound. Everything really runs on the engine very well. You know, it's no issues at all. Now, I'm gonna mount you guys back up here because there's some things that I did not want on this car, and there's some things that I did want on this car. Now, like I said, there are some things that I did want on this car, and there's some things that I did not want on this car. The one thing that I did not want on this car, and I'll tell you right now, is the keyless go feature. Keyless goes when you walk up to the car, the door, you know, it has the sensors behind the handles, and you can open the door and you can push a button and lock the door, and it's on every single handle on the car. The issue with that is that was the first, I believe that was one of the first generations of keyless go. This is one of the cars that was introduced to keyless go, and it was very problematic. Once it breaks, it is a nightmare to fix. Door handles are extremely expensive for no reason, because when one of the door handles breaks and it doesn't work, you can't just buy something small like a button and put it into the door, and you have to buy a whole new door handle assembly. So I did not want keyless go. Now, I'm already experiencing some parts that are expensive. Like, so for instance, the key, it only did come with one key. I actually did purchase a new key from Mercedes. It was only 2 days and I got a new key, and everything works on it just fine. So that was expensive, about almost $600, but you know, hey, you know, I want 2 keys. I want to have a car with 2 keys, because if I lose that one key, the car has to get towed to Mercedes, and then it has to get reprogrammed and recalibrated for 2 new keys, and that's just going to be as double as much. So I'd rather just buy another key, and this way I don't even have to run into that problem. Now, another feature that I did not want was power folding mirrors. I did not want that. Again, one of the first generations to get that. My mom's car did have power mirrors. They didn't have any issues, but I know like later on as the years go, they would be an issue to replace. It does have LED turn signals here. I looked them up on eBay. If they do blow out or if I have an issue with them, they're like $100 for both. And then I can also do like a $50 one, like an aftermarket sequential one later on down the road if I decide to do that. But the power mirror fold-ins, they fold this way if you get hit by a bus or a car on the side of the road, and they fold in manually. So I love that feature. This was not a car, I don't believe any W164 came with like blind spot detection. I think that was on the W166s where that was introduced. And yeah, so like I said, 2 engine choices with this car. It was an ML350, which was a 3.5 liter V6, and then there was also the ML500. I believe it was either like a 4.8 or a 5 liter. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'll put the correct one down here. Like I said, I didn't want the V8 just because bigger end, like for a few reasons. One, I wanted to babysit myself into this, and I think the 6-cylinder would have been a better option for me in terms of what I'm trying to use, and also trying to learn how to fix the car and work on different things with the car. So I'd rather start with the ML350 rather than the ML500. Even though I've heard major great things about it with the M113s, that they're extremely bulletproof. The one feature that I did not want, but I had to get because I can't find an ML, maybe you guys can, but I have not found an ML without it, was the power liftgate. Now, this is what I was one of the things that I was mainly scared about was the power liftgate. And the reason why is because it is not a electrical system like the newer cars today. It's all hydraulic. It has hydraulic lines, a hydraulic pump underneath with a spare tire sits. And I heard they're very problematic. Another thing that I was actually scared about with this car, as far as being problematic, was the rear SAM, or the body control module in the rear. This car is new, as far as it's not so foreign to me when you come down to, because my Volkswagen has multiple. It's German. It has multiple modules in the car to communicate with the car in different ways. This is the same thing, but it's prehistoric. It's the older ways of doing things. So I had to get an OBD scanner, which I do have now. I'm more comfortable playing around with things because now I have a OBD scanner that communicates with every single module in the car. But the rear hatch is something problematic. They tend to fail, or water gets in the rear of them, and then the pump starts to corrode, and then it becomes a nightmare. Now, those pumps are expensive. I heard they're like anywhere north of $1,500. And you know, like I said, mine is intermittent. So I don't think it's a pump issue. I think it's an electrical issue, but there's other things that make up that. So we'll hopefully in a later video, we'll dissect that and fix it. But I wanted one that was manual, and those are extremely rare for the MLs. I think all the 320s had it. No ML, I don't think any ML W163 320 or 500 or the ML55, I don't think they had power lift gates. I think they were all manual, and I think the W164 was one of the first SUVs from Mercedes to get introduced with that system. But of course, Mercedes back in the day overcomplicated it, right? Instead of just doing something electric and letting them go up, it's so problematic. It's just so much. But hopefully that's not a big issue. I wanted these wheels. I actually may try to find some AMG wheels that fit this. Let me know in the comments down below. It has decent tires on it already, but they're all mismatch. The only light on my dashboard right now is specifically for my license plate bulbs. I already did a LED video on this car. That video is coming up following up with this. So stay tuned with that, and it's been very difficult to figure that out. But that's the only warning light on the dashboard. It's also the TPMS sensor, but that's a common thing for these cars, for them to fail, the sensors. So I just will check the tires periodically, and there's a video that I'm coming out with in terms of how I do that on a monthly basis to make sure that my PSIs are in check. So I'm not really worrying about getting a flat on the side of the road. So I think this, you know, like I said, the video here is just introducing my daily driver, why I got it and what to expect on the channel. You're guys gonna expect a lot of DIY stuff. We're gonna make the interior a little bit modern too. We're gonna have a little fun with it. I wanna learn this platform. Again, I try to buy different cars so I can learn different platforms. But so far, a month after having this vehicle, I'm in love with it. This thing has been fantastic and flawless, and it has not skipped a beat. That's going to conclude this video. But guys, if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to JR14. You guys always remember that cars are a lifestyle.